Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Will. Hopefully, you're all having an amazing day today. So, we're going to jump in here to analysis on some. Let's get a pulse on what's going on here in the markets. See some movement happening pretty aggressively over in the specifically in the red wire space. The red wire is down 6%. In the AI space, it's down. You're seeing space stocks are dipping. And then today, you primarily, if what we're going to watch today is AI, we're going to be looking at the data center market pulling down today. And so, not huge, maybe net change, but overall in percentage change, you could see BITF is down about 17% today. We just entered a shorter or smaller position for the long term over on BITF recently. We see it sell down about 17%. Look at that. Look at that huge dip. And then IREN also seeing a sell down of around 12%. So not the easiest day to, see your stocks going down, but a few comments that, I've been sticking with is number one, you see Warren Buffett, it's buy when there's blood in the streets. If you have any dry powder, you have any capital, we've been just kind of waiting to get in some entries on these stocks, and we see some big dips recently, and that's usually when opportunities kind of present themselves. So we see that kind of happening in the market. But even so, cost of learning. If you're in short-term trades right now and you see the data center, especially the data center market, basically, if you're still holding any short-term trades, most likely those have now converted into longer-term trades or investments. Anything that we trade short-term, we always say 99 times out of 100, we have a long-term view on the company. So at least there's that. You can kind of see that in the market today. Is hopefully that's the case as we see some. And how are you guys doing? I see Elvis is tuned in, says BKSY. Let's take a look there. But before we do, how about the data center market? Data center market getting hit fairly hard. You see APLD going on here with my computer on the charging for some reason. Let's move this onto the screen. It might make it easier. There we go. And let me make sure you guys can still see. Okay. Yeah, you can still see. Okay. All right. So yeah, when we see the sell down like we see today, it's, on one hand, it's like worrying. On the other hand, you get an opportunity to buy. You see opportunities that you've been looking for a while, and we start to see, some of those opportunities present themselves. And let's say tons of the comments recently on the channel have been like, hey, when do I get a chance to enter on, APLD? When do I get a chance to enter on BITF or into IREN or some of these data center plays? Because they've just been going straight up, right, for so long. And at this point, you're starting to look at, you don't want to catch a falling knife, so it's okay to, take a little bit of a step back. You don't want to buy right, full position maybe at this moment. But this is one of those moments where it's like, okay, we start to see some opportunities here in the market. Are we breaking up? Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me and see me all right? Should be able to hear me and see me all right. All right. So TSSI, a couple movements. So while that's the case, while the market's pulling back, there's still a lot of fundamentals working in the favor of these AI companies, or specifically, all right, something's up with the audio. Let me check the audio. Testing. Properties. Having any issues with the audio? Can you guys hear me? See me okay? Can you guys hear me and see me okay? All right, people are saying that I can hear just fine now. Should be good. Cool. So the first thing you look at is the general market, right? It's not just data centers. That's not the case here. It's not just AI stocks that's really not the case, with the exception of CTM actually performing excellent today, up 7% today. We're in and out for some reason on the audio. Hopkins says in and out on the audio, and Elvis says in and out on the audio. So we're public, so hopefully it's working all right. Annette, good to see you. Hey, Annette, I wanted to cover something while you're on the live stream really quick for Annette. Annette, when you search up a stock, let's say APLD inside of the machine, and you go and you said you wanted to delete a widget when you're creating your widget setup, just going to be in the top right corner of the widget. Just that top right corner of the widget. Boom. Freezing every now and then.
You're good. No, you're good. Everything's
okay.
Working fine.
Some people are saying it's in and out on the audio, so I'll have to see what's going on there. But the market in general, it's not just the data center market. It's the defense market. It's the robotics market. It's, just take a look at the oil and gas market. The oil and gas market primarily looking red. The inverses are up, but primarily almost every market is seeing the dips. You can go over into, the blue collar area, and they're all red. So this isn't like just an AI thing. This is a general market thing. Now, when we're looking at the prices for BITF right now and looking at the data center stocks, a couple things to consider around data centers. Data centers are primarily driven by AI. And now that we see these big sell-offs, these big sell downs on particularly APLD, you're starting to see more of an opportunity for entries, and we're starting to see more of a realistic trend. We talked about some of these trends getting parabolic recently and how we were expecting some pullbacks, and we can kind of see those pullbacks now fully happening in the data center market. So for example, APLD probably looking at an uptrend here in the data center market overall, but in the near term with that big pullback, we're looking for a potential recovery around this $22 to $25 range, really a $20 to $25 range before this thing recovers. Someone pointed out, who was that, said, I was looking at the Fibonacci market is red on CPI not being released. Gabriel says, this will slingshot bullish tomorrow on any positive news. Well, I'd like to share with you kind of the perspective that I got on it. I think when we're looking at the data center market, even though you see a lot of primarily big pullbacks in the data center market, the government spending was there, but also the big tech spending primarily increased big time in the data center markets. And so while you see the pullback, you see that kind of come out, we primarily saw increased spending from the innovators, the big Magnificent Seven, the top companies in the world were spending billions, if not nearly $1 trillion, on more data center growth. And so when it comes to the AI market in that regard, with the exception of, again, every single market, there's no exceptions, every single market was pulling down today, you're actually looking for potentially what could be some better entries. And just as surely as the market pulls down, it follows a rebound the same way that day follows night, the same way that spring follows winter. When we see the markets pull down like this, and you see those opportunities present themselves, that's exactly what they are. They're opportunities presenting themselves. And while there's this really good quote that's like, if you're in the market and you look at what 95% of people are doing, just do the opposite. And most people might be panic selling today. I mean, obviously you see the panic selling kicking in more, and to no fault their own. I mean, there's a really good quote as well that says, we must view with profound respect the infinite capacity of the human mind to resist the inroads of useful knowledge. It's like there's very useful knowledge around these companies that would indicate that they're going to see tremendous growth in the near term. And so I wouldn't be very like upset to see this. In fact, even though some of these are our positions, and while we're still up, and we're up in our year, we're definitely holding green as a lot of these companies we entered down here. Even if you're not, this is the time to be getting excited in my eyes. And I know that sounds crazy. I know it's like, Will, how are you excited? Your portfolio is down 8% today. I get it. But let's just go back to the basics, go back to the fundamentals. What do you know is true about the companies and which ones are going to be prevailing during this time? And that comes down to one simple law that always will follow the markets. And I think there was a quote today from Michael Burry, who was shorting the market or something, where he said stocks aren't making sense right now. I would imagine that was like taken out of context, because obviously they're making sense for him because he made a ton, I think, as the market did pull back in his short that he just recently made. So I think even though if that was the quote, I think it was taken out of context that he said that the market doesn't make sense, because obviously it made sense for him as he's been able to do it. But we also haven't entered any short-term positions during this time, and we are more cautionary at this time, even actually open up some shorts in the quantum markets over the last few weeks. I've been pretty vocal about it. I don't know if you guys have really heard that, but that's been the approach, because we're kind of anticipating some of this to happen, and it's quite normal. And so let's take a look at some analysis of some companies, and we'll start it off with ticker symbols. If you can comment the ticker symbol you'd like us to look at, and then go ahead and additionally comment, or in that same comment, what is the reasoning behind you'd like us to look, why would you like us to look at it? It's because you really like something they're doing. It's because you're totally skeptical about something. Is it you need some confirmation on some things? Go ahead, comment the ticker symbol there, and then we'll go ahead and jump right into it, and we'll get an analysis of it. Ben, what's going on, Ben? Ben says this is painful. Hey Ben, did you get my text message I sent over to you? Chipotle is low. Okay, Chipotle. All right, let's see. Is Chipotle pulling back today? Yeah, I would expect maybe Chipotle is gonna pull back. But it's funny because I think one of the cool things is like Starbucks stock today, tanking, right? Red. We just walked past a Starbucks. I could tell you there was plenty of people in the Starbucks ordering drinks. And so that's also something you got to consider.
You can never get
You might see the markets pulling back. Everybody's selling off on stocks, but hey, people are still filling up their car with gas, so those oil and gas stocks are still okay. People are still using the AIs right now, right? So hey, that's what you got. So okay, the first ticker symbol I see here is going to be IonQ from Sophia. She says, what is the support level, please? I bought at 61. It's crashing hard. I almost panic sold today. Okay. So support and resistance in technical analysis on the quantum stocks is a little bit more tricky right now, because quantum stocks have been trading at higher multiples than their current value. Now, IonQ, for example, this is the type of company that when they've made these runs up into this $84 price range, it was way above their real fair value. And we just have to be real. Quantum companies are at current prices right now, the prices that they're most likely going to be at in 2 years to 5 years. In the $84 price point, you're looking at quantum companies that are trading at prices that are, again, 2 to 5 years ahead of time. So when it comes to any positions that you have in IonQ, this goes for Rigetti, this goes for D-Wave, this goes for, let's say, LAES. This does not go for Google, this does not go for IBM, this does not go for NVIDIA, but I'm talking the straight, pure play quantum companies. The current prices are far away from the real world values that they should be at. Now, we've talked about that a lot, and that there's a sentiment around why they've surged so much. But ultimately, if you're in a long-term position in those companies, you're happy because you're still getting it at a discount compared to where those stocks will be 3-5 years ago, or in the future. If you're in a short-term position, you don't have a plan with one of these companies, you don't have a plan with Rigetti, or you don't have a plan with IonQ, and you've seen some of the pullbacks, and let's say you didn't enter in the summer or in the spring or last year when we started covering them, or any of those times, but you just recently entered and you're up in, like, let's say $50 entry or something like that. If you don't have a plan for it and it's just a short term, you're trying to make some money on it, you got two options. It can either be a learning experience for you, or meaning you take a loss, or it turns into a long-term investment and you have the anticipation that the quantum companies are going to continue to make the progress that they are making. In fact, they're not in any danger of going bankrupt or anything like that. There's nothing like that. But that they are going to continue to build value, continue to see NVIDIA backing them, continue to see AMD start to integrate with quantum companies, continue to see the government spend more on quantum, and that quantum computing will grow in the next 1, 2, 3, 5 years to those multiples and stabilize around those multiples that we've seen in the last few months. Now, otherwise, someone says I'm frozen. I don't know, maybe you got to restart the stream. I also see someone saying that I'm not frozen. Awesome, Ben. Glad you got the text. Christos says Redwire, the partnership with Italian defense sector. Thanks, Christos. Yeah, I'll take a look. And Fernandez Son says Redwire. Got it. Yeah. And so that's the overview on the quantum stocks. Like right now, all these quantum companies, we could see them sell back down into, for example, Rigetti, bearish target, $20 a share. IonQ, bearish target, talking about down to this $40 range, somewhere in here. It's possible. Now, that's part of taking on the risk in quantum. That's part of any trades that we've made in quantum. You've had to either have long-term conviction, and that's something that you might see the values show up in the next year or even the next few months. Some investors that I know, including myself, we started investing in quantum last year, and it just so happened that it hit the 2 to 3 years or 5 years in the future prices by the summer. That does happen, and that means the market's catching on to something fast. But then you look at the values. What did the market look at? The market looked at it and said, oh, this is trading way higher than it's actually worth. And it's not there yet. It's going to take a couple years. We could probably put our money to work in other places. Let's get out of it before everything sells. Boom. You see the market sell down in the quantum market. You see even basically the whole market did that, right? And so I love that there's this opportunity here. Some people say, I just see a comment right when I said I love. Someone says, I hate the stock market. That's funny. Really, literally right before I read your comment, I was thinking to myself, man, I love when these opportunities get here, because not only are they good learning opportunities, like every time you expect a big catalyst, not every time, but it seems that most often than not, what is 95% of people kind of thinking? They're thinking, government reopen, market's going to go bullish. Government reopens, market does not go bullish. right? So that's what we see happen here. And that's the next one here is going to be UMAC. Cassandra Kramer says, UMAC, I really like the fact that they just opened a huge facility in Orlando. The financials didn't seem so bad, and she doesn't seem to be going anywhere. UMAC, got it. Let's take a look at this stock. So is this, it's like something machines, right? UMAC, we'll pull it up here. UMAC, and we'll pull it up in Mercatus as well. Unusual machines. $350 million market cap. Okay, so again, that's the rundown, and we can go over it one more time if you guys want to go over it again on the quantum market. We can go over it once again, because I understand that some people are like, if you're in a shorter term trade or something and you see the dips, what do? I get it. People are like, what if, things don't go according? What if it keeps going down? I get it. And we can go over that conversation again for sure if anybody has more questions on that. But ultimately, it's going to come down to having a plan and trusting the process. When it comes to UMAC, last projected we had was up to this 95% gain, up to $15 a share. We did see that price point. We see them sell down aggressively, obviously, in the last day or so. They're approaching what could be a support level here around this $9.40 range or $9.20 range. Here, a previous support level. UMAC is only a basically $349 million market cap, Cassandra, so it's still high risk. It's very small. Let's see if they're providing real world value. So one way we could measure that is looking at the financials. We look at the annual financials. They've had negative net income of about $30 million in the last year, but into 2025, they came in with a positive net income in the last quarter, but overall they're on track to be losing a little bit of money, about $8 million to $20 million, somewhere in there, and their revenue is around $2 million a quarter. Balance sheet, though, Cassandra looks healthy. They got $100 million in assets and only $7 million in liabilities, which looks good. So assets are much greater. When we're looking at the company and what they do, they're just starting to get some traction. At least that's how it kind of looks. It says they're here to serve the American drone industry. Drones are part of the second level of the AI race, and we're seeing drones as one of the top companies or industries, I should say, that we're looking at for Amazon to deliver packages, for any commercial package delivery. You're looking at also related to the military. You're looking at government. You're looking at surveillance, all that good stuff. I don't see a lot of information on the company actually on their website. It's pretty minimal. We could see their media coverage here. They got multiple catalysts. They're talking about the markets. Legislation is what they're looking for. Poised for growth. Do they have any actual press releases? Let's see their real press releases, because that kind of looks like not so good. They just added a 25,000 square foot fulfillment center in in Orlando, Florida. And so let's take a look at the address. They don't give you the address, huh? Let's go search them up. Unusual Machines, Orlando, Florida. Let's take a look at the maps. Unusual Machines. Don't see them coming up here. They're not on the Google Maps. They don't give you the address of where they're building it. They did have an X article. It's going to see how legitimate it looks. I don't know. I mean, from a press release standpoint, they're working with US Army maybe. They had an $800,000 order in October. They had a $12.8 million order in defense back in September. That's actually indicating some growth. So if we looked at their financials, the whole year of 2024, they only did $5 million in revenue. But into September 2025, they signed a $12.8 million deal, which is more than their total annual income. It says today announced a $12.8 million order for components supplying Strategic Logic's rapid reconfiguration system line. The order reflects a growing demand for NDAA compliant unmanned aerial vehicles. Primarily a supplier there, the order covers 160,000 machines manufactured components, including ground control systems, highlighting both the demand scale and company's central role in enabling production. So, I mean, from that perspective, they haven't reported earnings that include that revenue. Otherwise, this last earnings would have been about $16 million in revenue, not $2 million. They had a positive net income in their last earnings, and their assets jumped to $100 million. So they're raising money. They're in the drone market. And frankly, if they're signing a $12 million deal, that's most likely going to have a really positive impact. The biggest deal we've seen them sign here for UMAC. So I think, yeah, from a real world value perspective in the drone market, UMAC seems to be on the right track. We'd have to look a little bit. I do see some hype on the stock. Okay, so you gotta watch out. See some conversation, some hype. So watch out there. But overall, financials look promising at the moment and increasing, at least looking better. So UMAC's down to that support there around $9 a share. Okay, and they'd be looking to, if they continue this overall uptrend, we see them start to kind of form here, and they can continue in this direction, be looking for a recovery back up into $11 or $12 a share, or maybe even up into that $15 a share price point. They can make that recovery here. It'd be about a 10% to 30% recovery. They have a critical support around $9, which if they can't hold, next level of support would be probably right around there, around $8 a share, which would be a 10% drawdown from here. So key level, they recently bounced at $9.50, and they're looking to hold that $9.50 range, get back up into the $11 range. But the long term, I think it looks fairly good. On displays, yeah, we could take a look in a drone tech video. Definitely could do that in a drone tech video. Michael says, what is your prediction for the year end? Will we have a big rally that everyone talks about? Well, I could tell you that I've seen a lot of end of the year things happen. In fact, this is the exact opposite of November last year. Last year, November, right after the elections, everything shot up. But this year, right around the November time, we see the market sell down big time, the exact opposite of last year. But I can tell you, after seeing the differentiation and certain times where we've seen big sell-offs, and you see things like stimulus maybe coming, but then you see the market sell off huge, and then you see the comparison to COVID, or let's say different times when the market has dipped down big. I could tell you it's probably going to be exactly like it normally is. Is that helpful? Yeah, so basically how it's normally is we get this V-shaped pattern in the market. You see the market sell down, everybody kind of freaks out, panics, and then the market recovers, it gets back up to where it was. Then everybody's like, oh my gosh, I shouldn't have sold. Usually that's what happens. So, I mean, you have to think about really when the market sells down, what is your fear? Most investors that are really good at what they do have to look at it and say, well, if the market's going down, Either two things are happening. Either everybody's selling stocks or the US dollar is reverse inflating and becoming super valuable, and these stocks are becoming way cheaper because my US dollar is like way stronger. Something like that, right? There still has to be some buying and selling activity for that to take place, but you kind of get what I mean. And so I could tell you with pretty strong certainty the US dollar is not becoming stronger in this moment, right? People are choosing to sell stocks. And so when that happens, at some point, the market will recover. In fact, I could almost guarantee it with like 99% certainty. And so if you're asking me what's going to happen before the end of the year, I would say, I don't know. Probably what always happens. Exactly. David says, can we cover Castellum Inc., the progress they made in Q3 and the recent news? Let's do it. David, so I really appreciate your awesome breakdowns inside of StockMates. Guys, if you ever want StockMate breakdowns, we have one of our top stocks we've been covering here is CTM stock. And this company has been growing even today. They're actually one of the top companies that is green. They're up about 6% today. Couple of reasons why they've been growing. We see them get into levels of around $1 a share and growing from 10 cents a share last year. They just came out with some really good news. This is a defense company in the defense market that works with the government. Now, CTM is up again about 6% today. They just came out with some news in the last few weeks. One of the big things they had was a $100 million contract, which is bigger than their current market cap. So their current market cap right now is about 111 million. But they had a $100 million contract back when they were around 80 million in their market cap, which was an indicator. We said, oh, well, they got growing revenues. Revenues looks good. So up 25% year over year in the defense market, pretty promising market. Then you see the total assets growing and increasing while the liabilities are shrinking. So then you have not just the $100 million contract. Shortly after that, then we saw a $66 million contract. This was in the last 2 weeks. So that put their pipeline a lot bigger. And then just today, they announced that they also paid down $2 million pay down. And this is really important because essentially, as you can see, the pattern in their financials show that they are growing their total assets and their liabilities are shrinking. So when their liabilities shrink and go low and their assets go up, it means they're very disciplined and they manage their financials responsibly. And so now that we see them jump, we were looking for first this initial bounce from this 90 cent to $1 range up into about $1.30. We did get that 40% swing. And then we saw them pull back recently down to about $1.05. And then today, with the notes of their pay down of 2 million, so decreasing the liabilities, the cybersecurity defense company has jumped again. You can see them jump here throughout the day, about 8% or 7% throughout the day. So it's been a really good day for them. And CTM stock, David, when we've been looking at their news, there's not a lot of hype. In fact, if we go over here, I don't think there's any hype about the stock. It's just simply good financial management, and they're getting more contracts in the US government. So that's kind of the outlook for the CTM stock there. Will, can you tell me which stocks would invest in for 2 months to earn? Yeah, I don't know. What kind of stocks are you trying to invest in? Let me know. Right, Bitcoin 70 6K, says Marty. BTC. Bitcoin is at 98,000 right now. 98,000 it's at. Pretty consistent sell down. In fact, we could see Bitcoin sell as low as 90,000 if they just continue their overall uptrend. Very healthy, be very normal. I have about 50% of our wealth is in Bitcoin. So, you know, I'm a Bitcoiner myself. I'd say it's gonna be good. It's gonna be okay. Yeah, things posted in Stockmates. What did we have come out in Stockmate? So if you guys aren't in Stockmate already, David's talking about Stockmate. We just had some good posts here. Increased institutional buying in Castellum Inc. According to David, he was looking over on Reddit. And we could take a look, David, in the machine as well, which I'd love to get some feedback from you there. But in the machine, let's jump into it on CTM stock. So CTM. All right, let's get the Grok analysis here for projections, as CTM is crushing it today. And then as you can see, the insider buying and selling. There's been 23 buys and 23 sells. Recently, we saw institutions buy. You got Vanguard purchasing along with State Street, BlackRock. On the insider side, not too many buys and sells. But then we were looking at, according to Stockmate here in David was looking at this increased, let's take a look at the data, increased institutional ownership of CTM stock. Yeah, looks like you had more buyers jumping in on CTM recently, primarily JP Morgan Chase, and yeah, once again, you got Jane Street, BlackRock was jumping in there. And so, yeah, institutions are running in now. Something to consider about CTM is it's still only $100 million market cap. And we kind of talked about this a while, but like literally for them to reach, I don't know, $10 a share, we're talking about like $890 million of influx. That's not a lot. In fact, institutions sometimes buy with $1 billion at a time. This stock only has a very small amount of institutional ownership, and they're probably going to see a lot of growth in the future as a result of institutional attracting value. Yep, and they also came in with a positive net income. That's a really good point too, David, who saw that. And they retired their long-term debt, so we've been following there. Yeah, so there's some really good insights inside of Stockmate, guys. We were trading there live this morning. You'll notice that if you're ever tuned in live, we share our trades, what we're in, what we're not in. If you ever want to see our entries, see our exits, join the daily live trading. It's going to be the second link in the description down below to join Stockmate. Would love to see you there as soon as tomorrow if you'd like to jump in. Yeah, Marty, I see you. Yeah, Marty says probably up to 150K. I would think so. I think it's still on sale. Francisco, APP, Amcor, NewScale, LEU, Oracle, Rigetti. I'm not sure about APP, Amcor, but I do know NewScale they're doing the nuclear energy. They are still very far away from having very profitable time, but they're seeing a lot of backing, a lot of cash, NewScale, and they're probably a really good play for energy in the long term and nuclear. But as far as shorter term trades, a lot of volatility over there. When it comes to Rigetti, I think Rigetti is a great kind of same thing, quantum, really great long-term market. Short-term, they're seeing a ton of volatility, and you're seeing a lot of levels we just kind of went over where you got to watch out. It's right now falling. So, if you're short-term, you got to manage up or have a plan. And then when it comes to Oracle, I would be very bullish on Oracle in general in the short-term and long-term. Oracle is not playing around. They got data center plays. They got GPU domain. They got the software, and they work with basically almost every Fortune 500 company. So Oracle's a really good company. And I would place them up there really well. So hopefully that's helpful, Francisco. But yeah, again, like I don't know everything about those ones. You'd have to kind of let me know what you're looking at. Adam says, my fear is how low can it actually go? If it goes down crazy, how long till it recovers? Yeah, I mean, it's always a risk. If you're in a short-term trade, that's a worry. If you're in a long-term trade, it's not really a worry. It's an entry. What do you think about BBAI, RZLV, and Rich Tech Robotics? I would short RZLV and probably short Rich Tech Robotics, and I would hold BBAI. Resolve has more liabilities than assets. They're actually in debt and on the verge of bankruptcy. Rich Tech Robotics doesn't have real world usage hardly at all, and negative net income, increasingly negative. BBAI has actual infrastructure out into the airports, and I think they're actually on the right track to be able to turn a very nice profit in the AI space in defense. Steven, so hopefully that's helpful. Imana, appreciate you for tuning in. Sound coming in and out, appreciate it. Awesome. Do a lumen, show the damage. I haven't covered that one. I'm not really sure about that one, Steven, but I appreciate it. Hey guys, thanks so much for tuning in. I'm glad we were able to jump on here again and check over all of the movement in the markets. If you want to tune on into some of our private sessions in the StockMate community, there are some opportunities that we look at in AI. When the market goes down and we see clear direction, there's certain stocks that go green. You could see CTM was green for sure. We've been covering them a while, but you got CPSH doing good. Johnny, we've been covering that, one of our stock mates. But also you got SOXS. SOXS goes up when the semiconductor market goes down. There's certain stocks that make you money when the market goes down. They could become hedges. They could become, ways to make money as the market corrects. And ultimately, we like to trade them as well. So if you want to tune on into the daily live trading, it's going to be the second link below. It's like not here on YouTube. It's something separate. It's a different link you get in the morning. Love to see you there, as there's a data center boom sale that you can take advantage of in the second link below. Hopefully I earned your thumbs up. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. We're here in Buenos Aires. We may have a later live stream, but it's a lot later here. Right now it's already about 5:50 p.m., almost 6 p.m. here, but we may have another video out soon. And so that's kind of that's the rundown right now. Appreciate you all, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Bye now.